Hello, Micaela. Welcome to our Stay Sane, Make It Rain Summit.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure to welcome you again. You were at the first summit as well, where we were talking about the opportunities, the great opportunities we all have. And I've basically initiated this next summit because I think the mental health part is essential for our success and for our fulfillment. And I remembered our first conversation. And I think you were a perfect person to talk about, especially mental health fulfillment in the context of abundance and getting rid of scarcity emotions. So maybe you introduce yourself quickly to our audience again, and then we can dive right in.
Sure. First of all, thank you again for having me here. It's a pleasure. I know we had a great conversation last time. I'm an emotional intelligence business strategist. So what that means is that I help people really understand how their emotionality is affecting their bottom line, give them tools not only to manage their emotions and manage how they respond to things that come into their life and in their business, but I also give them viable and money generating focused strategies to really create the income that they want in their business and in their life. So I combine the business practicality. I've got 2 business degrees. I've built 6- and 7-figure businesses for myself. And I combine it with the subconscious mind release and emotional release that gets to happen as we uncondition ourselves from our past.
Right. Great. So thank you very much for that. So does the psychology follow the success, or the success follow the psychology?
The success follow the psychology, or the psychology follow the success? Really, it's about success follows you, and you are a unique emanation of energy, and you have a set of conditioning and made up conversations that you've taken on as you have evolved and grown in your life. So definitely success follows you and your psychology wherever you go, and how far you evolve, and maybe how far you don't evolve.
Yeah. So I mean, if I look at my clients, I'm working a lot in business consulting and also mentoring. So I focus a lot on the business side, and in parallel, what always happens in my case, the mental side pops up, right? So I work on a business case, but nevertheless, it takes me maybe a month to work with my client, and the actual psychology pops up. So it's quite interesting. And because I start with the business side and work myself to the mental side, I always find it interesting, because I'm totally with you there. First is the psychology, and then it's the success or the fulfillment. What is actually really interesting in what you're doing is you're teaching, I think, people to embrace a mindset of abundance, right?
Mhm.
And so how do you do that? Or what do you do?
It's really about helping people understand that anything is possible, and really using courage, the emotion of courage, to step into that world of miracle making and possibility. When we really can access our courage and use it to face our terrier barrier, face our fears, and act anyway and do anyway, that's where we can create miracles. I know it. I've lived it. I've seen my clients live it. So it's all about really navigating and using your emotionality in a way that empowers you instead of disempowers you.
Right. What is the key driver of courage, Micaela? What do you consider a key driver of courage? I mean, it's kind of being afraid and doing it anyway, right? But like, what do you think is the driver behind courage?
Well, I've seen a lot of people really be a victim of their fear.
Yeah.
And when you're a victim of fear, it's hard to access courage because you're kind of hooked in there. So I would say that the driver of courage is really resilience. It's really that inner desire to keep going, to have what you want anyway, no matter what obstacles come in front of you. No matter how afraid you are, you just go for it. You don't allow fear to have you and to sabotage you. So yeah, I think it's really resilience.
Right. And part of that resilience would be persistence, right? And if you try it one way, you want to try it another way.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And not giving up and dropping the
Yeah.
ball in the middle.
And really, it's trying anyway. It's taking that first step of trying. That's what courage is. Because I could be afraid and I could do nothing. And then I'm just sitting with nothing, no possibility, no opportunity, no movement forward. I could be afraid and I could take action. And then I can step into possibility and opportunity and everything that comes with it. So it's really taking that first step. And that's what really courage is once I take that first step, then you get into persistence.
Yeah.
But courage is about taking that first step.
What do you tell people who find themselves between a rock and a hard place? Let's say, for example, with their finances or with their health, how do you, because one thing is if you're like at this normal point in your life, right? Then maybe it's a bit easier to take that step into courage. But if people are stuck somewhere or they're already down in the weeds, let's put it this way, right? Health-wise or financially, what's the way to do that?
Well, so first and foremost, when somebody is really stuck, they want to really sit and take a look at what their values are, what's important to them, and really use that as a way to kind of be that carrot to take them out of that feeling unstuck. So looking for that bigger thing, whether it's a bigger thing about them or bigger thing outside of them,
right?
Because or else you're just going to stay stuck. So you've got to look beyond that, right? And have something that can guide you through and take you out of the stuckness. So when you are stuck in what did you say? What's the saying again? I know it's an American saying, but
if you're in the weeds, I meant. If you're stuck in the road.
No, you said it's stuck between something and a hard place.
Oh, between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, yeah, that's
a rock and a hard place. Yeah.
Between a rock and a hard place. I always tell people, look, where are you choosing from? Are you choosing from fear or are you choosing from love? If you're choosing from fear, majority, 99.9% of the time, it's not going to work out. If you choose from love, which is possibility opening, more of, then even if it's scary, even if it's hard, even if it might be counterproductive, it always will work out. So then I tell people, ask yourself, am I choosing from fear? I mean, I'm going to give you an example. I had an aunt who passed away several years ago. She had asked me, she had cancer. She had asked me to do some research on alternative therapies. She sent me to Texas to the Truth About Cancer conference. I got all of this information. I came back and I said, hey, Aunt, this is what we need to do. Let's do it. And she was so terrified that it was against what her doctor was saying that she did nothing. And then she found herself where basically the Western doctors said, you know what? Sorry. You're going to die. That's when then she activated herself to do the things that she had assigned me to find out about, right? So had she had the wherewithal to say, okay, am I choosing from fear or am I choosing from love and possibility? Maybe she would have acted sooner. Unfortunately, by the time she acted, it was too late. And so about 45 days later, she passed. But that's what happens, right? We get to really look at, is fear having me or is it not having me? If it's having me, then I got to do something about it. If it's not having me, I got to do something about it. Either way, you got to do something about it, right? You got to take action either way.
So basically, yes. So basically the conclusion is a decision made out of fear is not potentially no decision or the wrong decision.
Exactly.
Right? That's kind of the conclusion.
When fear paralyzes you, so a non-decision could be the wrong decision. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I keep saying. If you don't decide, life decides, and typically that's not the outcome you want.
And it's a default, and it might not be the default that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, scarcity is another, I always say this, I mean, my pronunciation of this word is just horrendous, but I think it's called scarcity. That's the right.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good pronunciation.
Scarcity is everywhere, I find. And I mean, that's an awful statement, right? Provocative. But I think the scarcity everywhere statement is actually one of the biggest triggers of our mental health crisis we're currently experiencing. So if you kind of check on Google what the biggest problems are people kind of Google, it's actually mental health, right?
Mhm.
So what do you say to that? I mean, is there anything our profession where you say, okay, let's kind of, I'm looking for this movement. How can we help our clients, be it business clients or private people, just people, how do we help them out of that paradigm of scarcity, which typically creates more scarcity?
Yeah. I think the important thing is to have people get back to their why, and to get back what is it that they want to create, what is it that their purpose is, what is it that they're trying to achieve, experience in life, and that usually will move people. Some people it'll move a lot, some people it'll move a little bit, but either way, little movement is what we want. So it's really about having people look at what's their why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you trying to create what you're trying to create, right? Why are you trying to have the experience that you are trying to have, right? What's
And
the
it
purpose?
always has a feeling, right? I find that people are looking not for necessarily things, they're looking for feelings. So I have had that interesting conversation with an entrepreneur. He says, oh, I just need, we just need more profit. He's pretty profitable, right? And I'm going, okay, why? Like, right? I mean, this is not a shareholder company or anything.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? But he goes, well, it just makes me feel better about my business. So there was the truth, right? I mean, it's not the actual profit. It's not. I said to him, yeah, well,
The
maybe
experience,
right? It's the experience. How do you what emotion does this result actually create in you, right? So this person ended up creating a foundation, and guess what? It was not about profits anymore. Suddenly, it was about the foundation and the purpose of the foundation. So it's very interesting. I think we're mostly driven by our emotions and not so much driven by more profit or more money.
Yeah. It's really about the experience that people want to have, right? And so whether it's wanting to travel more so they can experience the being a global citizen and just all of the different culture and variety that the world has to offer, right? Whether it's being successful because that makes them feel better, right? Whether it's being able to leave a legacy for their children, there's always something that it's all a trigger for a positive emotion. And what I tell my clients, especially when we're looking at deconstructing what's in the subconscious, I always say, look, when you get stuck, you always want to look at finding the next better feeling place. Right now, let's say you feel bad. What's the next place or thing that you can do that will make you feel better? Then once you get there, then look for the next one. Then once you get there, then look for the next one. So then by the time you keep looking for the next better feeling place, you'll have actually so distanced yourself from the bad feeling that now you don't remember it anymore, right?
Yeah.
But you can only do that when you're inspired by your why, your purpose, and what you're trying to create.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. Micaela, I mean, for our audience, do you have anything you can offer them at this point, or you want to, and I also want to give you the opportunity, obviously, to talk a bit about your business, because that's important, because I think we're all here to support and provide support to people. So please feel free to do that.
Sure. Well, so, basically what I do is I work with people one-on-one, because every person is unique. So your conditioning is different from mine, is different from every other 8 billion people on this planet. So when I work one-on-one, it's really a kind of peeling. It's peeling the layers in the subconscious of all of the made-up conversations, the things that we have felt about ourselves or that we think about ourselves that aren't really true. They're only based on an experience that happened in the past, and that we didn't, at the time, we couldn't really give any other explanation, right, to ourselves about. And so it's really unraveling that and creating a new conversation, which is a new anchor and a tool for people to then untether themselves from the past and tether themselves into the future. So if the past is riddled with, I'm not good enough, I can't, create, I
failed, whatever.
I'm a failure, I'm not worthy, all of the general conversations that really plague humanity, because this is our cross to carry as human beings. So we untether you from the past, and we tether you into what do you want to create? Well, I want to create a legacy. I want to give back. I want to,
Yeah.
earn $1 million, whatever that is, right? And so it's really about then having people practice future visioning through the new conversations. And then if someone has a business that they want to really fine tune and get into a rinse and repeat, into raising their ROI, maybe bettering their sales, whatever that is, then we implement strategies that are income generating. So we focus on active income generating strategies for the business.
Right. Great.
There's usually about seven to 10 different types of strategies that any given business wants to engage in to create consistent revenue. And so that's what I work on with them.
Great. And obviously you can be seen on your website, right? So please maybe mention your website. That's always useful.
Yeah, so my website is loveyourevolution.com or loveyourevolution.com. And actually, when you go there, there'll be a pop-up that'll ask you if you want to participate in a free EQ, emotional intelligence assessment. And so that's a really great way to understand where you are. And then I can tell you the gap to where you want to be and support you there.
Fantastic, Micaela. That's great. And maybe, to close this interview, I think it was super, super, as usual with you, super interesting. Can you maybe share one shortcut, one really personal trick to life?
To life?
Stay sane and make it rain, right?
Well, my personal trick has been risk taking. So I take risks. Sometimes my risk taking might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I found that the more risks I take, the more I gain. So that's my trick. That's my secret sauce.
Great. Thank you so much, Micaela. So I cannot wait to have our summit up. It's going to be up mid-December. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more of you, obviously, in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me again.
Sure. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.